What's the best theory on UFOs or aliens you've ever heard?
The movie Contact actually makes a good case that we haven't been visited by UFOs or aliens. Our most powerful broadcasts have traveled at best a few dozen light-years from this planet. To put that into perspective, if the Milky Way galaxy was the same size as North America, the Earth would be a speck of dust floating around a knick-knack on a living room table in a house in Arizona. Our most powerful broadcast signals have made it to the end of the driveway, or at best across the street. If there were a hyper-intelligent species 2 blocks over desperately listening for signs of intelligence in the neighborhood, they wouldn't even know we existed for at least a couple thousand years. When they finally picked up our signal, our first television broadcasts, it would take their response another couple thousand years to arrive here.
The premise in Lilo and Stitch, that Earth is a mosquito preserve.
That if any civilization elsewhere in the universe had the technology to reach us, for any reason, they'd be very likely to also be able to disguise their presence from our detection methods, i.e. they could observe us close up using nanotech, microscopic biological spacecraft etc. and we'd never know.
They came, they saw, they weren't impressed.
Interdimensional, not extraterrestrial.
That Greys aren't fully biological, but rather remotely controlled androids, or that they are biological, but their Grey appearance is a suit and not the actual body. Imagine other lifeforms looking at our astronauts saying, "Here come the marshmallow cyclops creatures again."
Any species advanced enough to find us wouldn't make contact. They'd study us the way we study animals. Ideally with minimal interference. Compare the average abduction story to the way we dart large animals, collect data and leave them to wake a bit groggy and confused but unharmed. Edit, this took off quite a bit more than I expected. I feel like I should be very clear that it's not a theory I completely agree with, I simply think it's an interesting idea that tends to create discussions. I just threw it in the ring to see what would happen. I agree with a lot of the criticism of it actually. But that's kind of the point. I used to wholeheartedly agree with this theory. But after much discussion, debate and reflection my views have changed. But it's a good jumping off point.
They come from the ocean, not space.
The best 2 I've heard. We don't allow ourselves to contact lost tribes in the Amazon or other wild places. Extraterrestrials may have similar laws on a galactic scale. We split the atom, but made weapons out of them instead of trying to reach the stars. They leave us alone out of fear that we'll destroy ourselves if war accidentally breaks out.
There are so many star systems with potentially inhabitable planets out there that the chances that we have been the only life in the universe is extremely slim. The question, instead, is whether life arising elsewhere has managed to survive destruction and remain alive today such that they might be able to contact us. That is to say, there have probably been countless civilizations for the past several billion years that simply haven't made it.
UFOs are higher dimensional objects moving through our dimension. Like, if we moved a 3D object through 2D space, to a 2D being it would look crazy weird. A holosphere would start as a dot, then look like a hula hoop that starts small, gets big, then small again. They'd have no idea what they were looking at. So WTF would a higher dimension object look like passing through our 3D dimension? It might rapidly change shape or appear to move at incredible speed as the whatever moved through our spacetime. Gravity wouldn't affect it, I don't think. It wouldn't appear to have any form of propulsion.
All the UFO sightings throughout history are just humans from the future on a time-traveling safari meant to observe how we were in the past. They are supposed to keep out of sight, but thanks to human/mechanical errors there have been hiccups with their cloaking which have resulted in being seen. That's why there have always been so many reports of them throughout history, but there has never been an attack. It's just us. Also the reason why we don't see as many examples of UFOs now even through pretty much everyone has a camera is because people are not that interested in this time period since we already document aspects of human life all the time.
Aliens don't necessarily mean an intelligent civilization.
There is a very simple explanation as to why abductees independently described Grey aliens as looking the same. There are no aliens and no abduction took place, but rather they are abstracting residual memories left over from being infants and looking up at adults. Before an infant's visual cortex is fully developed, an adult human looking down at them would appear rounded and gray in color with large eyes. Cross that indistinct memory with a sleep state subconscious and standard psychological patterns and boom, alien abduction. It also explains the sensation of being lifted, examined and probed.
Aliens landed once in Africa, got eaten by lions. Planet now marked as dangerous by the galactic feds.
Not exactly a theory, but I got a great kick out of reading.
That life in the universe could be so unrecognizable to us that we wouldn't even register it as being alien life. What if life on another world was not carbon-based, but another element? How would we even know what to look for since our definitions and descriptions of life are based on a completely different perspective?
We're not the first, we are the aliens that we're looking for. Mammals are not native to Earth. The asteroid was a massive chunk of our planet and we populated the Earth after that. Is that a theory that I believe? No, not at all. Is it a good concept for a sci-fi movie? Asterisk asterisk yes.
If aliens are on this planet, they are likely using the ocean as a place to hide.
Time-traveling humans from the future.
The U.S. military has intentionally orchestrated alien sightings and kidnappings, as well as funded UFO religions and conspiracy theories, to prevent people from being taken seriously should they happen to notice some experimental planes and so forth. There are no aliens, but there are U.S. military agents in goofy spacesuits who mutilate cattle and probe deranged people to encourage them to make fools of themselves.
That we are the first and or the most advanced life forms at this moment in space-time. I don't remember where I heard it, maybe some NPR program, but it's interesting to consider. We often discount the idea that we could ever be that special, but there is always the chance that we are. Someone had to be the first, that someone might just be us.
That there is no one else and we are those advanced aliens. The universe is still in its toddler stage in age and we are the first intelligent people.
Dark Forest Theory.
Brian Cox's, at least that's who I heard this from first solution to the Fermi paradox. TLDR, most civilization advanced enough to get even close to interstellar travel becomes too energy intensive and destroys themselves, their planet before they get far enough for interstellar contact.
That they are from a breakaway human civilization that is keeping their secrets to themselves. Essentially, that some place like Wakanda is real. Or that Jules Verne really isn't science fiction, it's actually science fact. When the rest of the world was making do with steam-powered industrialization, someone figured out anti-gravity and zero-point energy from the interaction between electromagnetism and gravity. So they kept this technology for themselves, and have been zipping around the rest of us keeping an eye on things.
I don't believe it, but that they live in underground caves and dwell primarily in Antarctica. I don't remember the complete theory, but people say they're an advanced race adapted for life underground, and that they have advanced machinery because they have been living on the Earth longer than humans.
Aliens are depicted as God in religious texts.
If you wanted to explore space, you'd send technology instead of risking the life of a scientist. The little gray/green man and other now cliché depictions are just biological computers that they can control, and that's why they look so simplistic and unidentifiable. Reminds me of Robot or Droids.
You know that trope in sci-fi shows, where they stumble upon the networks of the founders, or the ancients, or the architects. A civilization so advanced, long ago, that traveled the stars? That is us. We're seemingly alone because we're the first. Maybe they'll stumble upon us in 1,000,000 years.
That they're extratempestrals. Not extraterrestrials. They are some type of human evolutionary outcome from the future. It's why they look humanoid if evolution were to theoretically continue. Time travelers or dimension travelers. May explain why they aren't violent, obvious, or intrusive. They're just what humans become in X years. Just a theory, but I think it holds weight.
I had a fun theory that Earth is one of a few life-generating planets and that aliens are actually Earth-originated beings who have moved on to settle the galaxy. Any visits are them checking in on our development, and eventually we'll be advanced enough to join and make way for another wave. Not really a theory, I believe, more the basis for a story.
Different wavelengths, or dimensions, if there's a difference. So, the same way we can't see, feel colors outside our visible spectrum, e.g. gamma rays, we're too different to interact with aliens. Sometimes they build odd contraptions to phase into our dimension. Sometimes mushrooms, chemicals disrupt our brain enough to see into their dimension. Neither method works for very long, so there's just sightings without much interaction.
IDK, but someone on here posted about something happening this year in July. They posted it like 7 or so years ago. I'm looking forward to some action this summer.
They're evolved humans from the future.
Maybe UFOs seemingly don't have rivets or welds because cold welding can occur in any other atmosphere except ours.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.